Namaste. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्. All right, so we are on chapter 7, and last time before the break we had done the first verse of chapter 7, and here Lord Krishna is going to tell about Brahman and many other things, of course. And we saw that he's giving right now the introduction. So the next 6 chapters, 7 to 12, we are going to learn what Brahman is, because last chapter he said meditate on the Brahman, and so we have to learn who Brahman is, what are the characteristics and all that. Just in nutshell, is hard to kind of describe in words. But the first verse is the English translation. With the mind intent on me, O Partha, practicing yoga and taking refuge in me, how thou shalt without doubt know me fully, that do thou hear. So basically he's saying that if you listen to me carefully, and not just hearing, but listening to me with, completely madashray. There were 3 words, asakta manaha, yoga yunjan, and madashray. So means you taking madashray is complete refuge in me. Yoga yunjan is practicing yoga, means connecting with me. And asakta mana means having asakti towards or attachment towards God. Usually the word attachment in Vedanta, we say don't have attachment. The only good attachment is to the higher. So if you do that, then I'm going to tell you everything, not hold anything back. So he's it's a preamble to what is coming. Next 6 chapters, an introduction, like a foundation, bhumika, like we say in Hindi. Bhumika bandhane Krishna Bhagwan. So with that, we will go to the next verse number 2 of chapter 7. We will discuss that today. I'll chant the verse. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshamya sheshatah yajnatva neha bhuyo nyata gyatavyam avashishyate. So jnanam, indirect knowledge of Shastras. So even though we see there are in Vedanta, each word has so many different connotations. So when we say jnanam, otherwise it's like, knowledge of Bhagwan. But here now he's fine-tuning the word, because there are 2 words, gyan and vigyan. So English mein bolenge science, but here let's see what this vigyan over here means. So because there are 2 words, so yahan jnanam means indirect knowledge, means I know something about it, that's all. So te is to thee, means to Arjuna. Aham means, him, I. Bhagwan will tell. I will tell. That's what he's saying. And then we have discussed I means that Atma. Savijnanam. So what is savigyan? Sa means vigyan ke saath, combined with realization. So here saying realization, direct knowledge of Atma through experience. So we will see these words in detail, what that means. But just for right now, Jnanam is indirect knowledge and Vijnanam is the experience of something. Or there are other word is wisdom. You have wisdom when you have experienced something. You have no doubt about it. Whether somebody believes it or not, you have experience, so you will believe, that kind of thing. That's called Vijnanam. Idam is this. Vakshyami will declare. Asheshataha, in full. So in the previous verse, he has said that fully I will tell you. I think the word was without any doubt, samagram. The word was samagra. Everything I'll tell you. And here he's saying, I will not hold anything back. He's just reiterating the same thing in a different words, just to say कि मैं सब कुछ बताऊंगा तुझे, kind of thing, And we'll go in detail. Yat is which, jnatva, having known. Gyan se word aaya, jnatva, having known. No, everybody knows not. Iha is here. Bhuya, more. And nothing more like that. Anyat, anything else. So these words together, anyat bhuya, mean nothing more. Gyatavyam, what ought to be known. Nothing more to be known after this. Avashishyate, remains. So these are just Sanskrit words for the people who want to know the Sanskrit, but let's see what he's saying over here. So the one important word over here is Vakshyami avasheshata, without leaving anything behind. I'm going to tell everything. The same thing he's telling in different words, what he said in verse 1. So, I'm just bringing some thoughts from Nikhilanandji. So he was saying that the beauty of this knowledge is that the teacher reveals here everything completely, And so in such a way that the teacher makes the disciple of his own nature, because the teacher is one with the Brahman, and the way he will give the knowledge, you also become one with the Brahman. That's what is the meaning over here when he says, I'm going to tell you everything. So we have to take it in the right context. Because theoretical knowledge, no matter how much you tell, it does not turn into wisdom until you experience it. So basically the state of the teacher and the state of the disciple will become one with this. So Nikhilanandji was making a point. He's saying, in the world, there is always some selfish motive is there when somebody trying to teach something to somebody, So he's saying that even the religious leaders and all that, वो भी बोलेंगे अच्छा, बड़ा secret mantra है ये, बड़ा powerful mantra है, बड़ा important mantra है, तो अच्छा बताओ मुझे, नहीं, पहले register करो आके, which is saying, and then I will tell you what it is, So some selfish thing is there, but here Bhagwan is telling him that, I'm going to tell you everything right now. And this pertains to the next 6 chapters, but also to this particular chapter also, both ways it is, And he also, in his heart, Bhagwan knows that in the essence, him and Arjuna are the same, right? Like we have talked about the ocean, that H2O is common, whether one drop or the entire ocean. So that's what it means when he says, Vakshama Vasheshata, without nothing will remain to be known further. That much I'm going to tell you. But the condition is that because this knowledge is so precious and my nature is so dear to me, as though Krishna Bhagavan is saying, I cannot reveal it to somebody who is distracted, So whose attention is somewhere else. Because now we have to relate to the first verse. Like he said, no, listen to me carefully, and those 3 words, madashraya, yoga yunjan, asakta manaha, all those things. So this is connected with that those are the conditions we have to fulfill. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. And I don't even want to tell people. And we are told that these days Upanishad is coming, on Zoom and everywhere, and we also learned Upanishad in Chinmaya Mission, and all that. But in olden days, you had to go to the Himalayas. If you wanted to learn Upanishad, then you had to be qualified student and all that. So they won't even talk about it until somebody's to a certain level. So we, at least we should try a little bit to get there. So basically you have to be, have all these things then, because even in the worldly sense, if people are distracted, you don't feel like talking to them. You're talking to somebody and they are looking at TV or they're reading a book, and it's like, hey, I don't want to talk to this person. So obviously, worldly में भी यही है, तो why Krishna Bhagavan is saying, hey, you have to put full attention if you want. So if somebody is not interested, then it's an insult to this thing. That's what Nikhilanandji was saying in the worldly language, So, and then he says, I'm going to tell you, Jnanam Teham Vijnanam. I will reveal the knowledge, because first we have to start with theoretical knowledge. Without that, we cannot move to the experience. So that is the first step. We can't avoid that. So I'm going to tell you all the theoretical knowledge, and then I'm going to have you experience it also. Vijnanam also I will give you. So he basically, it is what it is, that in the end you have to experience it yourself. So Krishna Bhagwan can also take you to a certain point, but after that, whatever he says, you have to do it to experience it. But I will help you to get there. Basically, saying if you have that kind of interest to learn, you will get it. So basically, Gyan or Vigyan, this is the first time it has come, but this is very important for the throughout Bhagavad Gita, that one is just theoretical knowledge, another one is experiential knowledge, that you actually have wisdom. That's how we'll look at it right now. So then, the one other condition is if you follow my teachings. That's another thing that we have to remember. And I think we saw this example of if somebody giving a recipe to someone, right? Because we are trying to equate it, that what is Gyan and Vigyan. So if you give somebody's okay, yeah. So if you give, somebody wants to cook something, right? So you give a recipe. So the recipe will come under Gyanam. Okay? So but it's saying recipe is not going to give you fulfillment. Khali recipe leke, like Nikhilanand ji said, uski आरती उतारना शुरू कर दो तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला. सेम वे अगर भगवत गीता लेके उसको कई लोग आरती करते हैं, तो करो आरती, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, पर ज़्यादा भी मत करो. It is just a recipe, So it's like, gave the recipe, but I will show you how to cook it. And then when you eat it, you will get the experience. Then the fulfillment happens. So you say, मुझे गुलाब जामुन की recipe दे दी. Oh, बहुत बड़ा बात, क्या हो गया? But no, I will cook it, I will eat it, and then the fulfillment will happen. Same way here he was talking about, you got the knowledge, but you follow that path and experience it. That is called Gyan and Vigyan. Now you will get it. So he's saying that if you don't do that, it's going to be a kind of a wasteful thing. It'll just stay at the what you call theoretical knowledge, like a shelf book on the shelf. That's it. So in the beginning of this chapter also, he was going to give first the Gyanam, what Brahman is, and then he will show the path, and that path will lead to Vijnanam. So it's the same thing, like in chapter 2 also, he gave the knowledge, and then he talked about Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the path. Hey, this is the knowledge. How do I get there? Start with Karma Yoga. See what I'm saying? So that path will lead you to Vijnanam. And so once we know the theoretical knowledge of what the nature of God is, then it will be, when we are sitting in meditation, it will be easier to progress over there. Okay? So, and then one question somebody may ask, and human mind always asks you, okay, fine. Once I know this, so what? This is just, we kind of know because we have gone through it. But just one more question. Hey, so Krishna Bhagwan is telling something over here. So he's saying that this knowledge is such that after gaining this knowledge, nothing more remains to be known. Final, जैसे क्या बोलना चाहिए, the peak of the knowledge. Like in the worldly sense, बोला ठीक है, PhD कर लिया, अभी क्या हो गया, right? You got the highest degree, something like that. It is hard to equate, but he's saying that no, according to him, no purusharth remains. Remember, there were 4 purusharth that artha, kam, what is it? क्या 4 purusharth? Maybe Meena ji can help me. Artha, dharma, artha, kam, and moksha. Sorry. So he's saying that those are the 4 purusharth humans can do. So this is like moksha. Hey, after you get the moksha, there nothing remains to be done anymore. And we have reached the culmination of the journey, according to him. So he's saying, how do we describe that? Fulfillment of human life. Means all the actions conclude here, all the desires conclude here. All the maximum happiness, we have talked about it, all that, bliss and all that, everything comes with it. So, and the other thing happens is all our question on our ignorance get dispelled over here too. So, कुछ करने के लिए बचता ही नहीं है. और एक संस्कृत में वर्ड है कृत कृत्य हो गए. कृत कृत्य मतलब जो करना चाहिए वो हमने सारा कर लिया. You know, that word krita kritya is that word. So the complete fulfillment you will get with this. That is the benefit of this knowledge. Once you come to recognize your own self as God, as divinity, as Brahman, so that after that nothing remains to be known, and this is what it is. So basically, what Krishna Bhagwan is doing is, in the modern language, he's advertising this knowledge. It's like how they make this advertisement so good, like, man, I want it now. He's creating the desire in Arjun. Oh my God, something that is like everything is going to get fulfilled. Now I want it. Then he will become that Madashray and Yoga Yunjan and all those things, Asakta Mana. He will get the enthusiasm, get this knowledge. And he did the same thing in chapter 9. The first 4-5 verses are complete advertisement. So किसी ने बोला कि some people have this arrogance, this advertisement concept came in the modern world. He's saying go see chapter 9. And here also the first two, you will know how to advertise something, So that's what it is. So then he'll be focused on it when you get excited about it. So that's what it is. But then just to give you an idea what's coming in the third verse, we won't do it today, but that, okay, if it is so wonderful, then why so many people don't get it? Why they don't strive for it? Do many people get this then? It is such a wonderful thing. Then he's going to answer what happens. But anyway, in this verse, that's what it is. He's saying. Any question or comment before we read Swamiji's commentary? Or anybody wants to add anything? Okay. So, Meera ji, are you up to reading? Yeah.
I'll be happy to. I shall tell you completely this knowledge combined with experience, having known which, nothing here more remains to be known. As an introduction to this section, constituted of the following 6 chapters, Krishna promises that he will be delivering hereunder the entire Hindu philosophy, both the speculative and the practical, in such an exhaustive fashion that nothing more shall remain to be added which is worth knowing. It is always the practice in preserving all patent secrets that the owner of the secret only gives out either the theoretical explanation, or if at all he gives the details of the practical explanation of the theory, he invariably keeps some secret unto himself, so that he may still have the monopoly of the right knowledge in all its entirety.
So we discussed it, that first he's saying that, hey, he promises that he's going to deliver everything completely. And then he was just saying how in the world people are selfish, they will keep a little bit. And there is a very famous story where it says that, it's a drishtant, that there was this chela and guru were there, and this chela, not chela and guru, there was a mouse and there was a guru. So mouse को उन्होंने ना lion बना दिया or something. So वो lion बन गया, तो फिर वो उसमें बहुत ताकत आ गई, फिर वो गुरु पे गुर्राने लगा. तो गुरु ने बोला पुनः मूषिका भवा, उसको वापस because उसको वो आर्ट सिखाया नहीं. Whatever, he had the power to make him back over there. Nothing like that over here. That Drishtan doesn't fit over. I'm going to tell you everything. You will experience just the way I am. That's what he's saying.
Okay. A modern example of the above can be found in the explanation of the atom secrets. The atom scientists give us some theoretical explanation of the nuclear science, the constitution of the energy particles in an atom, and even openly give out the mathematical calculations of the enormous amount of energy contained in each atom. But except for the rudimentary principles of the construction of the atom bomb, They do not give the complete secret to all. Similarly, here it will be doubted that the technique and science of perfection may not be exhaustively and completely given out by the Lord in the Gita as vividly as in the Upanishads. This doubt becomes quite justified because the Gita comes in the midst of the great classic of the world, the Mahabharata. Here, Krishna endorses and guarantees that the Gita is a total and exhaustive summary of the philosophy of the Upanishads, and though it reads as simple and elementary in its import and deeper significances, the divine song exhausts the entire knowledge.
So we saw that how in the world also they will talk about atom bomb and all the what atom is, but nobody will ever give the secret how to make it. So that's how I was saying that in the worldly sense people hide, but here it's not like that. And then the other point that Swamiji brought out is very significant, because Bhagavad Gita उसका स्थान क्या है हमारे Hindu dharma में, because they say there are three, they call it prasthanatraya, three foundations of our Sanatan Dharma. Even the word Hindu Dharma is not the right word, because it's coined by the West, Sanatan Dharma. What are the three pillars of Sanatan Dharma? They say Upanishads, and then the Brahma Sutra, it's done by Shankaracharya, and commentary is done by Shankaracharya, and Bhagavad Gita. So उसको एक पूरा पिलर बताया है, सारा उपनिषद ब्रह्म सूत्र का निचोड़ है उसमें. So it is a complete shastra. So it's just Swamiji is emphasizing that everything is there in it. But then he also said it may look very simple and elementary, but its import and deeper significance, it's there. And that's why I was saying we will never get it by one reading. You have to continue, like till your entire life, and maybe God knows how many more lives are there. Let's hope that everybody gets moksha in this one. But if we don't, we have to still continue this same kind of studies. And Krishna Bhagavan promised already, you saw, chapter 6, that when in our next Janma, we'll pick up from wherever we left. So we have nothing to worry about.
According to Shankaracharya, speculative knowledge is Gyan, and actual experience of the perfection is Vigyan. Here Krishna is promising that he would not only deliver to Arjun the theoretical explanation of the art of divine life, but shall during the very discourse take him to the highest peak of self-discovery. This may seem to be rather unbelievable, but unlike yoga and other types of philosophies in India, Vedanta is not an indirect process, inasmuch as after the study of the Shastra, it is not necessary for a fit student to retire into the jungles to practice and bring the experience of perfection into his cognition.
See, this is so important. That's why in Bhagavad Gita it said your profession does not matter, or you don't have to take sannyas to get that, Jivan Mukti, or to get the highest state. Anybody can do it, because that is it's like it will lead you to Vigyan. And there's another, in Sanskrit they say Gyan, and uske aage V lagaya means Vishesh Gyan. That's how we are taught, So Vishesh Gyan becomes Vigyan, and Vishesh Gyan is when it becomes a wisdom. So, we just have to, it's so, how nicely they explain, in these things, that what Gyan and Vigyan is just unbelievable. Never thought about it that way. Go ahead.
During the very discourse, if the student is mentally fit to walk along with the teacher step by step and follow carefully the logic and significance of his explanations, he can gain glimpses of realization during the very hours of his study. It is because of this that Vedanta is taught only to a student who has been made fit for this flight to the beyond. If an individual student is perfectly integrated inwardly, and if he can continuously maintain his adventurous thirst to experience the reality, then he, in his attempt to identify himself with the thought in and the spirit of his teacher's discourses can ultimately come to revel in the experience of the very goal that is indicated by Vedanta. Self-realization is instantaneous during the understanding of the scriptures gained through the teacher-taught discussions.
Now, obviously, this sounds really wonderful, but there is a huge clause over there because it is because of this that Vedanta is taught only to a student who has been made fit for the flight to the beyond. Talking about Nachiketa, right? From our Kathopanishad, that if you had all the qualities like the Nachiketa, you're going to get it at the end. That's what he's telling you. And then we also know that, it's like in the world also, the teacher can teach a student, but there'll be, recipient will be different. One of them will get so good, he'll get a Nobel Prize, and others might fail the class or something. Right? So, patrata of the student is very important, you're just saying. So, he's talking about a student who's completely integrated, completely those three things we were talking about in the beginning. Krishna Bhagwan said, he has all those qualities, then he's going to get it. He just, in other words, he's just telling you what adjustments we have to make in our life to get this knowledge. We have to integrate our own personality, and then there's so many little tips are given by Lord Krishna, so we'll keep doing that. Hopefully we follow, and one day all of us will reach. Any question, comment? Anybody wants to add anything to this verse?
Yeah, I am Umaji.
I
just had a question.
Mm-hmm.
If one has to have an integrated whole, everything you listen, you practice and all that, then does it mean to say that we have to go back and then follow the first 6 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, like Karma Yoga and all that, before you go into this one? Because he's saying that, for example, if I don't have those 3 qualities, what Krishna Bhagavan is saying, I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just... So if that is the case, should I go back and then continue up to 6 and then come on to the 7th chapter?
Okay, so this is what it is in Bhagavad Gita. First chapter obviously is a little bit different because it was Arjuna Vishad Yoga. So he's just talking about, his condition. It's like basically he's giving us encouragement that in the worst situation in your life also you can follow this path, right? Because Arjuna was in the middle of the war and he's got shattered totally mentally, and Krishna Bhagwan is giving him the highest knowledge. So give us some hope that at least I'm not in that bad situation right now. I can do it. Now, starting from chapter 2, Prabhakarji, Krishna Bhagwan, actually, it's a summary of the entire chapter in there. He talked about all 3 paths already in chapter 2.
Correct.
So then what happened is, obviously, it was like a crash course given to him, right? So he didn't get everything.
Yeah.
So he asked few questions and all, and there's a lot of masala in chapter 2. It's one of the largest chapters, right? Because there are 2 summaries in Bhagavad Gita. There is chapter 2 and chapter 18. So chapter 2 is like a introduction, and then Arjuna had a lot of questions, and the same concept opened up more and more and more again and again, right? And then chapter 18 is like, like if you go to a conference in some subject, at the end, they give a speech about overall what happened in the conference. Somebody will get up and say that. So Krishna Bhagwan is summarizing everything again, and giving a little. Now that Arjuna is ready, and Arjuna already surrendered to him. I said, okay, I'm going to fight, and I got it, and my memory came back and all. So he's still tweaking it a little bit, giving him a little more information because he's more recipient. So we have to take, that's why that Nikhilananji was saying, Bhagavad Gita is like, you can't pluck one flower from here and one flower from there, and then you have to take it as a whole garden. So yes, you can go back for sure. We always do that because there are some great verses. And then when it comes to the path, it depends on where each person is, right? So if I have a lot of desire, I have a lot of these anger, frustration, jealousy within me, then I'll have to practice karma yoga more. I'm not yet fit for meditation. I'm not saying don't make an attempt, but it will not fructify very nicely. So I can sit for half an hour, 1 hour, and I'll know that, hey, my mind is just running. Then I have to do more selfless action. I have to rise above my likes and dislikes and all that. So definitely you can go back and learn, because Krishna Bhagwan opened up, karma yoga very well in chapter 3. And then he further in chapter 4 and 5, he again kind of went in more detail, because there are some very subtle parts of it. So, and then chapter 6, finally he came to meditation, right? So all the chapter are equally important if you ask me, and absolutely we have to go and refer back and forth, but depending on what you need at what time, you can go back.
Assume that I have a lot of desires, I have a lot of anger, and etc. But does it mean to say that only I have to be doing only karma yoga, or can it be progressed through upasana?
Yeah, sure. No, all of that you can do together, and that's why in I think it was chapter 4 or 5, now I forgot, where he gave 12 different yagnas. I think it was chapter 4. 4. He gave 12 different yagnas, and they said this is just a tip of the iceberg. You can do whichever sadhana, whichever suits you. See, when it comes to a spiritual journey, it's a very personal journey, and we were talking about it. We can't copy somebody. Somebody says, hey, japa works for me. Please do it, please do it. It may not work for somebody else. Puja might work for them. Sitting for meditation quietly might work for a third person. Who knows? We don't know. So, you can choose your practice, saguna, nirguna, whichever way you want. There's all the masala is given, and you have to tweak your path. And that's why they say that guru becomes so important, because guru is like a doctor. Since you are a doctor, that somebody comes to you, you might give one medicine to one and another one to another. They might have the same symptom, but the disease is deeper, right? Somebody comes with a cough, it might be COVID, it might be, some flu, or it might be a cancer. We don't know. So that's how the guru can say, hey, you know what? You go do japa, you go do meditate, you go do karma yoga. So if you can't figure it out yourself, then you got to have a guru who will tell you what to do. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, so upasana is one of the preparatory things for meditation.
Yeah, definitely. But the reason Krishna Bhagwan started with karma yoga, because that is, doing selfless action is the first step. See, जो लोग already advanced होते हैं ना, वो वैसे ही selfless action करते हैं. There are some souls who are born like that. They are selfless. We meet people like that. सारा टाइम दूसरों का ही करते रहते हो. अपना सोचते ही नहीं है. So they are already advanced souls. But if we are not, that's why he's giving you this as a karma yoga is like a safe way to start. Karma yoga will lead you. And then in chapter 2, Krishna Bhagwan ne tip bhi di thi usko ki, hey, there are two things in the world. One is a permanent, one is impermanent. And impermanent is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Permanent always stays. And you have to endure the impermanent to become fit for the knowledge. That's the verse he used. I don't know the verse number, but it's in chapter 2, that why do I have to endure this pinpricks of life up and down? Because that will make me fit for the knowledge. He didn't even say that you will get the knowledge by it. But the first step is to endure these ups and downs of life.
I think it is 14, verse 14.
Yeah. Right. So he's already started giving the tips, how to move forward in this.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, main thing we should do yoga is so that, we slowly and master all our ego and calm, growth, everything, desires also. And then we start, practicing Om. And then when you can hear the Om on its own, through you, when you're meditating, you can hear that vibration. Then you will be in connection with God. That's why they say you should do yoga. It's not necessarily karma yoga, but also your yoga practice, so that you can follow the path.
Who's speaking?
And align yourself.
I could not get it. Who's speaking? Sneha?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there are so many different ways. So when the word comes yoga, we saw that when he's saying the word yoga in chapter 6, he's talking about meditation. When he's talking yoga in chapter 3, he's talking about karma yoga, right? And then when he's going to talk up further, it'll become bhakti yoga. So then what he's talking when, then you have to decide. But obviously these three are different paths. But, like Vivekanand ji said, hey, you can why don't you do everything? Do the karma yoga, do bhakti yoga, and also study Vedanta. Do it, combine effort. You can definitely do that. Nobody's stopping, So everybody can pick.
Chapter 7 is all about, I think, the spirit, nature of the spirit.
Chapter 7 starts with who God is. That's what it starts with. And it's going to continue for next 6 chapters. Like Sheila ji had asked that question.
How you can realize me,
yeah, that what is Brahman? So I said, no, that is, I think it's the verse, which one is it? When he talks about his upper higher prakriti. Yeah, verse 4 is the most important one to start with. Hey, just to begin, the basics. Kya hai Brahman? Very basic, he will start with verse 4. Any other question, comment? Okay, then in that case, what we can do, the Kathopanishad, very interestingly, talks about meditation only. And so it is very, very complimentary right now. And then we did not read, and then we have another verse to do, so maybe we can finish Bhagavad Gita early today. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.